Let me tell you something right now, and I want you to hold on to this like your next breath. Just because someone's loud don't mean they're strong, and just because someone's quiet don't mean they're weak. See, in a world full of noise, tweets, headlines, and diplomatic drama, sometimes the loudest move is no move at all. And baby, that's exactly what India just did. Now you can call it restraint, you can call it chess, you can even call it silence. But let me break it down for you plain and simple. Strategic silence is not weakness. Strategic silence is the strength of a nation that knows it doesn't need to shout to be heard. It doesn't need to throw tantrums to change tides. And when Trump leaned toward Pakistan, when the cameras zoomed in and the microphones clicked on, India didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't fold. That ain't passivity, that's power, because what's Trump doing? He's making noise, that's what he does best. He's turning toward Islamabad with a smirk, trying to act like he's backing the underdog. But let's be real, this ain't about justice, this ain't about democracy, this is about leverage. See, Trump plays the power game with optics, with volume. He leans where he thinks the leverage is soft enough to mold and strong enough to fight for him when needed. But India saw that move like a grandmaster sees a pawn trying to sneak across the board. You think this caught India by surprise? Oh no, India been playing this game a long time, longer than Trump's been on camera, longer than Pakistan been asking for favors, and when the moment came to respond, to react, to retaliate, India sat back, arms crossed, unbothered, because silence don't mean surrender, it means calculation, it means discipline, it means you don't waste your breath arguing with noise when your results speak louder than any press conference. And let me tell you, India's results are talking. While Trump leans, India builds. While Washington tweets, India tests. While headlines scream, India sharpens. And what does Pakistan do? It smiles for the cameras, claps for the attention, but deep down it knows it ain't India. And no endorsement in the world, not from Trump, not from China, not from the whole United Nations combined, can make up the gap India has carved with discipline. Now people say, but look, Trump's warming up to Pakistan. Maybe India should say something, threaten something, flex a little. No, that's amateur hour. That's what people do when they need validation. But India doesn't need validation. India has value. That's what y'all need to understand about this silence. It ain't fear. It ain't confusion. It's confidence, the kind of confidence that comes from 75 plus years of building brick by brick, from weathering colonial rule, from walking through war, betrayal, embargoes, border threats, and economic blockade, and still standing tall. Stronger, smarter. India don't play reactionary. India plans generationally. You see, there's a saying in diplomacy, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. And while the U.S. cozying up to Pakistan might make some people scratch their heads, India just sits back with that smirk, knowing full well what this means. It means desperation. It means distraction. It means somebody's rattled. And when your enemy's rattled, the best thing you can do is get quiet, get focused, and keep building. Because while the world's caught up in who shook hands with who, India's over here testing Agni missiles and refining quantum encryption. While people worry about statements, India's securing border infrastructure, launching satellites, and sealing defense deals from Paris to Tel Aviv. Don't get it twisted. India's silence is the sound of thunder building in the background. And let me tell you why this matters to you. Because some of y'all got a little Trump in your life. People who are loud, flashy, always trying to get attention, making alliances that don't serve nobody but their ego. And you're sitting there wondering, should I respond? Should I fight back? Should I shout louder than them? No, baby. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is go silent and go to work. Let them run their mouths. Let them make promises they can't keep. Let them lean where they want to lean, Because when it's your time, when the results start rolling in, when you start stacking wins with no noise, you will not need to defend yourself. The truth will do it for you. India gets this. That's why when Trump made that pivot, subtle as it was, symbolic as it seemed, India didn't panic. It adjusted its color and kept walking. Because India understands something Trump never will. Respect earned in silence lasts longer than alliances bought in noise. See, you can't bully a nation that's self-made. You can't shake a country whose foundation is built on thousands of years of civilization, innovation, and resilience. You can't rattle a people who have survived colonization, partition, sanctions, and propaganda, and still come out writing software for your satellites and solutions for your future. Pakistan may get the spotlight right now, but India holds the switch. Because let me tell you what silence lets you do. It lets you observe. It lets you anticipate. It lets you keep your enemies guessing while you're outbuilding them, outlearning them, and outlasting them. India doesn't need to play victim. India is not here to beg for alignment or sympathy. India is here to set the standard. So let's break it down. While Trump leans on Pakistan for some short-term geopolitical bargain, India is building a long-term global vision. Pakistan might get a pat on the back today, but India is signing 10-year defense contracts, launching green energy initiatives, upgrading its digital infrastructure, and cultivating partnerships with real teeth. And don't forget the youth. India's got the youngest, sharpest, hungriest demographic in the world. While others worry about retirement policies, India is training coders, building unicorns, breaking patents, filing trademarks, and launching satellites, all in silence. And when those young minds grow into leaders, CEO, diplomats, and defense strategists, baby, the world's gonna hear from India, not in a scream, not in a slogan, but in results. So the next time you hear someone saying, "Oh, India's not reacting. What's going on? Are they afraid?" You look them in the eye and say, "No, baby, they're calculating, because only the weak react. The strong reposition, only the desperate shout, the confident listen, only the insecure respond to every move, the powerful, they watch, they wait, they strike when it matters, and India, oh, India ain't gonna need a press release when that time comes." The sky will speak, the economy will speak, the alliances will speak, the military posture will speak, the satellites in orbit, the submarines in silence, the rupee on rise, all of it will speak louder than anything Trump can say in a tweet. That's strategic silence, that's maturity, that's strength, and maybe, just maybe, that's what we all need to learn, in your life, in your hustle, in your journey. You don't have to react every time somebody turns their back on you. You don't need to post every victory, clap back at every insult, or beg every powerful person to notice you. Sometimes your silence is the storm they didn't see coming. So let Trump lean, let Pakistan smile. Let them both enjoy their moment, because India's already planning the decade. And in this game of geopolitics, it's not the side that shouts loudest that wins. It's the one that endures the longest, silently, powerfully, relentlessly. Strategic silence is India's quiet declaration of global self-reliance. You see, there was a time when every time someone said something about India, whether it was a leader, a foreign press outlet, or some so-called expert, India felt compelled to respond. Press conference here, diplomatic rebuttal there, spokesperson this, ambassador that. But now India lets the silence echo. Because when you're truly powerful, when you're centered in who you are, you don't flinch every time someone throws a pebble at your glass house. You reinforce the foundation. India doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to respond every time someone questions its loyalty, its morality, or its choices. That need to explain yourself constantly, that comes from insecurity, but a nation that's secure in its trajectory, one that's grounded in a vision far beyond the daily headlines, doesn't chase claps or approval. It builds, it innovates, it endures. That's the kind of silence India is operating from. Because strategic silence isn't passivity, it's not avoidance, it's discipline, it's restraint with purpose, it's sitting at the global table, smiling, letting others play their cards and still holding yours. India doesn't reveal its hand because it's not gambling, it's investing, and that kind of maturity only comes from decades of watching the world move, of seeing alliances made and broken, of recognizing the difference between applause and respect. One fades quickly, the other is earned. When Trump leans toward Pakistan, or when anyone else makes a move that would have once triggered loud diplomatic volleys from New Delhi, now India lets the noise pass. Why? Because while the headlines say India didn't respond, the boardrooms of defense, the labs of DRDO, the coding pits of Bengaluru, and the strategy halls of South Block are already 10 steps ahead. India's silence is filled with motion, and it's motion that transforms silence from stillness into strategy. While the world is trying to bait India into reaction, India is building launch pads. It's not tweeting, it's testing satellites. It's not protesting, it's producing semiconductors. It's not scrambling for coalitions, it's strengthening its own core. This kind of focus, it's rare, it's powerful, and it's unsettling to those who are used to controlling narratives with noise. Self-reliance doesn't mean cutting off the world. It means not being cut off when the world pulls away. India is making itself impossible to ignore but unbothered if ignored. That's the difference. It's not chasing headlines, it's creating outcomes. The kind of outcomes that turn foreign interest into foreign dependence. The kind that doesn't have to say, "Look at me," because eventually everyone will. India's strategic silence is filled with action in every sector. While some nations are building narratives, India is building chips. While others are assembling coalitions, India is assembling launch vehicles. And while some are buying defense credibility, India is exporting it. The Akash NG missile system, that's not just a defense tool. It's a declaration that India can arm itself and others, that it doesn't have to beg for protection. It offers it, and let's be real, when you can secure your skies, your borders, your bites, and your beliefs, you don't need to shout. You just move quietly, strategically, like a nation that understands the game but plays its own. And this strategic silence, it's more than foreign policy, it's cultural, it's civilizational. India has long been a land of depth, of layers, of quiet power. That power doesn't demand, it simply is. And now, in the 21st century, it's showing up in new forms. It shows up in India's refusal to be boxed into Western paradigms of alignment. It shows up in India trading with one hand and defending with the other. It shows up in India buying Russian oil on its terms, selling defense equipment on its terms, and negotiating tech deals on its terms. It shows up in silence that makes louder nations nervous, because silence makes people wonder. It makes them uneasy. Why isn't India speaking? What is India planning? Why didn't India respond? That's when the game shifts. When your silence speaks louder than their noise, when your patience feels like dominance, when your refusal to explain becomes a position of power. You see, in the past, silence was seen as weakness. Now it's weaponized, it's calculated, it's precise. India's strategic silence is not about avoiding the conversation. It's about controlling it. And in a world that runs on clicks, likes, and viral outrage, India's silence makes people lean in. It forces attention without asking for it. That kind of mastery doesn't happen overnight. It comes from a nation that's fought colonialism, survived partition, withstood economic shocks, and absorbed wars. It comes from a civilization that's older than most modern nations, and still innovating faster than many. It comes from knowing who you are when others are still trying to figure themselves out, and when Trump leans toward Pakistan or the world tries to question India's stand, India doesn't flinch, because it knows its roots are deep. Its people are ready, its economy is rising, and its vision is long. In that silence is the message: we don't need to fight you in your arena because we're building our own. It marked the birth of India's assertive military doctrine backed by innovation. Strategic silence is India's quiet declaration of global self-reliance.